An alphabet is a standard set of letters which is used to write one or more languages based on the general principle that the letters represent phonemes of the spoken language. This is in contrast to other types of writing systems, such as syllabaries and logographies. The Phoenician script was the first phonemic script and was the ancestor of modern alphabets, including Arabic, Greek, Latin, Cyrillic and Hebrew. According to terminology introduced by Peter T. Daniels, an alphabet, in the narrow sense, is one that represents both vowels and consonants as letters equally. The first true alphabet, in this sense, was the Greek alphabet, which was developed on the basis of the earlier Phoenician alphabet. In other alphabetic scripts, such as the original Phoenician, Hebrew or Arabic, letters predominantly or exclusively represent only consonants. Such a script is also called an abjad. A third type, called a bujida or alphasyllabary, is one where vowels are shown by diacritics or modifications of consonantal base letters, as in Devanagari and other South Asian scripts. There are dozens of alphabets in use today, the most popular being the Latin alphabet. Many languages use modified forms of the Latin alphabet, with additional letters formed using diacritical marks. While most alphabets have letters composed of lines, there are also exceptions such as the alphabets used in Braille, fingerspelling, and Morse code. Alphabets are usually associated with a standard ordering of letters. This makes them useful for purposes of collation, specifically by allowing words to be sorted in alphabetical order. It also means that their letters can be used as an alternative method of numbering ordered items, in such contexts as numbered lists. Etymology. The English word alphabet came into Middle English from the late Latin word alphabetum, which in turn originated in the Greek lambda phi alpha beta eta tau omicron sigma, from alpha and beta, the first two letters of the Greek alphabet. Alpha and beta in turn came from the first two letters of the Phoenician alphabet, and originally meant ox and house respectively. Informally, the term ABCs is sometimes used for the alphabet as in the alphabet song, and knowing one's ABCs for literacy, or as a metaphor for knowing the basics about anything. History. Ancient Northeast African and Middle Eastern scripts. The history of the alphabet started in ancient Egypt. By the 27th century BC, Egyptian writing had a set of some 24 hieroglyphs which are called uniliterals, to represent syllables that begin with a single consonant of their language, plus a vowel to be supplied by the native speaker. These glyphs were used as pronunciation guides for logograms, to write grammatical inflections, and, later, to transcribe loanwords and foreign names. In the Middle Bronze Age, an apparently alphabetic system known as the Proto-Sinaitic script appears in Egyptian turquoise mines in the Sinai Peninsula, dated to circa the 15th century BC, apparently left by Canaanite workers. In 1999, John and Deborah Darnell discovered an even earlier version of this first alphabet at Wadi El Hol, dated to circa 1800 BC and showing evidence of having been adapted from specific forms of Egyptian hieroglyphs that could be dated to circa 2000 BC, strongly suggesting that the first alphabet had been developed circa that time. Based on letter appearances and names, it is believed to be based on Egyptian hieroglyphs. This script had no characters representing vowels, although originally it probably was a syllabary, but unneeded symbols were discarded. An alphabetic cuneiform script with 30 signs, including 3 which indicate the following vowel, was invented in Ugarit before the 15th century BC. This script was not used after the destruction of Ugarit. The Proto-Sinaitic script eventually developed into the Phoenician alphabet, which is conventionally called Proto-Canaanite, before California. 1050 BC. The oldest text in Phoenician script is an inscription on the sarcophagus of King Ahiram. This script is the parent script of all Western alphabets. By the 10th century, two other forms can be distinguished, namely Canaanite and Aramaic. The Aramaic gave rise to Hebrew. The South Arabian alphabet, a sister script to the Phoenician alphabet, is the script from which the GEZ alphabet is descended. Vowelless alphabets, which are not true alphabets, are called abjads, currently exemplified in scripts including Arabic, Hebrew, and Syriac. The omission of vowels was not a satisfactory solution, and some wick consonants were used to indicate the vowel quality of a syllable. These had dual function, since they were also used as pure consonants. The Proto-Sennatic or Proto-Canaanite script and the Ugaritic script were the first scripts with limited number of signs. In contrast to the other widely used writing systems at the time, cuneiform, Egyptian hieroglyphs, and Linear B, the Phoenician script was probably the first phonemic script, and it contained only about 24 distinct letters, making it a script simple enough for common traders to learn. Another advantage of Phoenician was that it could be used to write down many different languages, since it recorded words phonemically. The script was spread by the Phoenicians across the Mediterranean. In Greece, the script was modified to add the vowels, giving rise to the ancestor of all alphabets in the West. The indication of the vowels is the same way as the indication of the consonants, therefore it was the first true alphabet. The Greeks chose letters representing sounds that did not exist in Greek to represent the vowels. The vowels are significant in the Greek language, and the syllabical Linear B script, which was used by the Mycenaean Greeks from the 16th century BC, had 87 symbols including 5 vowels. In its early years, there were many variants of the Greek alphabet, a situation which caused many different alphabets to evolve from it. European alphabets. The Greek alphabet, in its Euboean form, was carried over by Greek colonists to the Italian peninsula, where it gave rise to a variety of alphabets used to write the Italic languages. One of these became the Latin alphabet, which was spread across Europe as the Romans expanded their empire. Even after the fall of the Roman state, the alphabet survived in intellectual and religious works. It eventually became used for the descendant languages of Latin and then for most of the other languages of Europe. Some adaptations of the Latin alphabet are augmented with ligatures, such as A in Danish and Icelandic and in Algonquin, by borrowings from other alphabets, such as the thorn th in Old English and Icelandic, which came from the Futhark runes, and by modifying existing letters, such as the th of Old English and Icelandic, which is a modified d. Other alphabets only use a subset of the Latin alphabet, such as Hawaiian, and Italian, which uses the letters J, K, X, Y and W only in foreign words. Another notable script is Elder Futhark, which is believed to have evolved out of one of the old Italic alphabets. Elder Futhark gave rise to a variety of alphabets known collectively as the Runic Alphabets. The Runic Alphabets were used for Germanic languages from AD 100 to the late Middle Ages. Its usage is mostly restricted to engravings on stone and jewelry, although inscriptions have also been found on bone and wood. These alphabets have since been replaced with the Latin alphabet, except for decorative usage, for which the runes remained in use until the 20th century. The Old Hungarian Script is a contemporary writing system of the Hungarians. It was in use during the entire history of Hungary, albeit not as an official writing system. From the 19th century it once again became more and more popular. The Glagolitic Alphabet was the initial script of the liturgical language Old Church Slavonic and became, together with the Greek Uncial script, the basis of the Cyrillic script. Cyrillic is one of the most widely used modern alphabetic scripts, and is notable for its use in Slavic languages and also for other languages within the former Soviet Union. Cyrillic alphabets include the Serbian, Macedonian, Bulgarian, and Russian alphabets. The Glagolitic alphabet is believed to have been created by Saints Cyril and Methodius, while the Cyrillic alphabet was invented by the Bulgarian scholar Clement of Ohrid, who was their disciple. They feature many letters that appear to have been borrowed from or influenced by the Greek alphabet and the Hebrew alphabet. Asian alphabets. Beyond the logographic Chinese writing, many phonetic scripts are in existence in Asia. The Arabic alphabet, Hebrew alphabet, Syriac alphabet, and other abjads of the Middle East are developments of the Aramaic alphabet. But because these writing systems are largely consonant-based, they are often not considered true alphabets. Most alphabetic scripts of India and Eastern Asia are descended from the Brahmi script, which is often believed to be a descendant of Aramaic. In Korea, the Hangul alphabet was created by Sejong the Great. Hangul is a unique alphabet. It is a featural alphabet, where many of the letters are designed from a sound's place of articulation. Its design was planned by the government of the day, and it places individual letters in syllable clusters with equal dimensions, in the same way as Chinese characters, to allow for mixed script writing. Jian is a semi-syllabary used to phonetically transcribe Mandarin Chinese in the Republic of China. After the later establishment of the People's Republic of China and its adoption of Hani Pinyin, the use of Jian today is limited, but it is still widely used in Taiwan, where the Republic of China still governs. Jian developed out of a former Chinese shorthand based on Chinese characters in the early 1900s and has elements of both an alphabet and a syllabary. Like an alphabet, the phonemes of syllable initials are represented by individual symbols. But like a syllabary, the phonemes of the syllable finals are not. Rather, each possible final is represented by its own symbol. For example, Luan is represented as, where the last symbol represents the entire final. While Jian is not used as a mainstream writing system, it is still often used in ways similar to a romanization system, that is, for aiding in pronunciation and as an input method for Chinese characters on computers and cell phones. European alphabets, especially Latin and Cyrillic, have been adapted for many languages of Asia. Arabic is also widely used, sometimes as an abjad and sometimes as a complete alphabet. Types. The term alphabet is used by linguists and paleographers in both a wide and a narrow sense. In the wider sense, an alphabet is a script that is segmental at the phoneme level, that is, it has separate glyphs for individual sounds and not for larger units such as syllables or words. In the narrower sense, some scholars distinguish true alphabets from two other types of segmental script, abjads and abugidas. These three differ from each other in the way they treat vowels. Abjads have letters for consonants and leave most vowels unexpressed. Abugidas are also consonant-based, but indicate vowels with diacritics to or a systematic graphic modification of the consonants. In alphabets in the narrow sense, on the other hand, consonants and vowels are written as independent letters. The earliest known alphabet in the wider sense is the Wadi el-Hol script, believed to be an abjad, which through its successor Phoenician is the ancestor of modern alphabets, including Arabic, Greek, Latin, Cyrillic and Hebrew. Examples of present-day abjads are the Arabic and Hebrew scripts. True alphabets include Latin, Cyrillic, and Korean Hangul, and abugidas are used to write Tigrinya, Amharic, Hindi, and Thai. The Canadian Aboriginal syllabics are also an abugida rather than a syllabary, as their name would imply, since each glyph stands for a consonant which is modified by rotation to represent the following vowel. All three types may be augmented with syllabic glyphs. Ugaritic, for example, is basically an abjad, but has syllabic letters for a, I, u. Cyrillic is basically a true alphabet, but has syllabic letters for ya, ja, ju. Coptic has a letter for t. Devanagari is typically an abugida augmented with dedicated letters for initial vowels, though some traditions use as a zero consonant as the graphic base for such vowels. The boundaries between the three types of segmental scripts are not always clear-cut. For example, Sorani Kurdish is written in the Arabic script, which is normally an abjad. However, in Kurdish, writing the vowels is mandatory, and full letters are used, so the script is a true alphabet. Other languages may use a Semitic abjad with mandatory vowel diacritics, effectively making them abugidas. On the other hand, the Phagspor script of the Mongol Empire was based closely on the Tibetan abugida, but all vowel marks were written after the preceding consonant rather than as diacritic marks. Although shorter was not written, as in the Indic abugidus, one could argue that the linear arrangement made this a true alphabet. Conversely, the vowel marks of the Tigrinya abugida and the Amharic abugida have been so completely assimilated into their consonants that the modifications are no longer systematic and have to be learned as a syllabary rather than as a segmental script. Even more extreme, the Pahlavi abjad eventually became logographic. Thus, the primary classification of alphabets reflects how they treat vowels. For tonal languages, further classification can be based on the treatment of tone, though names do not yet exist to distinguish the various types. Some alphabets disregard tone entirely, especially when it does not carry a heavy functional load, as in Somali and many other languages of Africa and the Americas. Such scripts are to tone what abjads are to vowels. Most commonly, tones are indicated with diacritics, the way vowels are treated in abugidus. This is the case for Vietnamese and Thai. In Thai, tone is determined primarily by the choice of consonant, with diacritics for disambiguation. In the Pollard script, an abugida, vowels are indicated by diacritics, but the placement of the diacritic relative to the consonant is modified to indicate the tone. More rarely, a script may have separate letters for tones, as is the case for Hmong and Zhuang. For most of these scripts, regardless of whether letters or diacritics are used, the most common tone is not marked. Just as the most common vowel is not marked in Indic abugidus, in Jain not only is one of the tones unmarked, but there is a diacritic to indicate lack of tone, like the Varama of Indic. The number of letters in an alphabet can be quite small. The book Pahlavi script, an abjad, had only 12 letters at one point, and may have had even fewer later on. Today the Rotokas alphabet has only 12 letters, while Rotokas has a small alphabet because it has few phonemes to represent. Book Pahlavi was small because many letters had been conflated, that is, the graphic distinctions had been lost over time, and diacritics were not developed to compensate for this as they were in Arabic, another script that lost many of its distinct letter shapes. For example, a comma-shaped letter represented G, D, Y, K, or J. However, such apparent simplifications can perversely make a script more complicated. In later Pahlavi papyri, up to half of the remaining graphic distinctions of these 12 letters were lost, and the script could no longer be read as a sequence of letters at all, but instead each word had to be learned as a whole, that is, they had become logograms as in Egyptian Demotic. The largest segmental script is probably an abugida, Devanagari. When written in Devanagari, Vedic Sanskrit has an alphabet of 53 letters, including the Visarga mark for final aspiration and special letters for Ks and Jn, though one of the letters is theoretical and not actually used. The Hindi alphabet must represent both Sanskrit and modern vocabulary, and so has been expanded to 58 with the Kutma letters to represent sounds from Persian and English. Thai has a total of 59 symbols, consisting of 44 consonants, 13 vowels and 2 syllabics, not including 4 diacritics for tone marks and 1 for vowel length. The largest known abjad is Sindhi, with 51 letters. The largest alphabets in the narrow sense include Kabadian and Abkhaz, with 58 and 56 letters, respectively, and Slovak, with 46. However, these scripts either count di and trigraphs as separate letters, as Spanish did with ch and ul until recently, or uses diacritics like Slovak c. The largest true alphabet where each letter is graphically independent is Georgian, with 33 letters. Syllabaries typically contain 50 to 400 glyphs, and the glyphs of logographic systems typically number from the many hundreds into the thousands. Thus a simple count of the number of distinct symbols is an important clue to the nature of an unknown script. The Armenian alphabet is a graphically unique alphabetical writing system that has been used to write the Armenian language. It was introduced by Mesrob Mashdots around 405 AD, an Armenian linguist and ecclesiastical leader, and originally contained 36 letters. 2 more letters, and, were added in the Middle Ages. During the 1920s orthography reform, a new letter was added, which was a ligature before plus, while the letter was discarded and reintroduced as a part of a new letter. The Armenian word for alphabet is Aybubin, named after the first 2 letters of the Armenian alphabet Ayb and Ben.